When during the day should you exercise? The science gives us a macro answer and a bunch of micro answers. The macro answer to this question is, it depends. Depends on your goals. If you have a certain set of goals, you're better off exercising early in the day. If you have another set of goals, you're better off exercising later in the day. So, what does the science tell us? For morning exercise, it's better for you if these are your goals. Number one, if you want to lose weight. It turns out we burn more fat in morning exercise than we do in later in the day exercise. So, this is your ultimate goal, losing weight. Morning is probably slightly better. Number two, boosting your mood. We know very well that exercise, particularly cardio exercise, swimming, biking, running, gives us a mood boost, and it lasts for many, many hours. If you do that early in the day, you get the benefit of the mood boost throughout much of the day. If you do it later in the day, you dissipate some of it because you inevitably go to sleep. The third reason, keeping to your routine. There's some studies that show that people who exercise in the morning are more likely to keep their routine, probably because they have fewer distractions early in the morning, maybe builds a slightly more enduring habit. And then the final reason is to build strength. If your goal is to build strength, morning exercise is probably slightly better. There's some studies that show very clearly that our testosterone level is higher in the morning than later parts of the day, and that makes it easier to build muscle. So, seems pretty good to exercise in the morning, right? Well, depends on your goals. I'm actually a late in the day exerciser, and it's partly for the three virtues, the three reasons to do your exercise in the late afternoon and early evening. Number one, avoid injury. The key thing here is that later in the day, our body temperature rises. Our body temperature is high. We are literally more warmed up. And when we're more warmed up, we're less likely to injure ourselves, whether it's lifting weights or biking or playing basketball or playing tennis or doing anything like that. So if you want to avoid injury, late in the day exercise is slightly better. Another reason, and this is a really interesting one, you perform better later in the day. You really do. Not only are we warmed up, but our lung function is higher, our circulation system can distribute more oxygen and nutrients. And so what you see is some really intriguing evidence that people do better in later in the day exercise. For instance, a disproportionate number of Olympic records are set in the late afternoon and early evening. And so your hand-eye coordination is better too. So for a whole variety of sports and activities, you actually perform a little bit better late afternoon and early evening. And the final reason to exercise in the afternoon is that people enjoy it more. There are studies that show that people find later in the day exercise less effortful, probably because they're more warmed up, maybe because they're full of all the stress that has accumulated for the day. So this is what the science tells us about the right time of day to exercise. It depends on your goals. The key thing is that you actually exercise regularly, because if you do that, exercise is one of the things that is so unequivocally good for us that you should do it, and it's up to you to decide when you do it.